this is a recap of round 7 of Reykjavik Open, and in this round, I was actually playing against my mom's student. Yes, guys, my mom has mentored my opponent for years, and so I was not even sure who my mom was rooting for in this match, but obviously I'm her daughter, so I guess she was rooting for me. But I was playing against Julia Östensson, and she is a 17-year-old girl from Sweden who has been improving a lot lately. Her rating was 1800, but I knew that her online rating was much higher. I believe it might be around 2300. And I also know that she's played really well in this tournament. She drew a 2200 in one of the rounds. So I knew that she was playing really well, and I knew that this was going to be a difficult game. Now, before the game, my mom said, Anna, Julia is a very tactical player, just so you know. And so I knew that there were two options. Either we go into a tactical game that becomes an absolute mess, because I am also a tactical player, or we play a positional game and I try to get her out of her comfort zone. Now, I chose the first one of those, and this game became the biggest mess ever. In fact, she even said after the game, she was like, Anna, I think this might be the most chaotic game I've played in my life, and she is right. So, I had the white pieces, and I went d4, she went d6, c4, knight f6, and this became a King's Indian. And now I played my line h3, which is my favorite line against the King's Indian. The idea of this move is that I'm preventing this bishop from going to g4, and I'm playing against this bishop that just simply becomes quite a bad piece here. So she castled, and here I had to make a choice. Either I went for my regular opening, which is going knight f3 or bishop g5, which I thought she had prepared, or I play something that I played in my classical tournament in Sweden a few months ago, and it's a line that I actually really like. It's just that I don't have as much experience in it. So I was sitting there for a couple of minutes, and I ultimately decided to go for this new line, which is going bishop e3, and the idea of this is that I'm going to be going g4, and I'm going to try to place a knight over here on g3, and I'm going to try to create some king-side attack, and I actually really like this opening. So here, she went e5, and she wasn't expecting this. d5, and now she went knight a6. The idea is simply to get a knight up to c5. These are all very standard King's Indian opening sort of ideas. And now I went for my move g4. So this becomes a very fun opening. I love going g4. It's not just like an aggressive move, but it's actually also quite a positional move, because a lot of ideas in the King's Indian include going f5 just to try to break open the center. But with g4, you make it harder for black to go f5. So I actually really like this. And here she went knight c5, and in this position, I made a move which made her jump. When I made this move, she didn't write down the move in the score sheet. She literally jumped. So I did this move, which actually was a mistake. I went bishop g2, defending this pawn. I thought it looked natural because I wanted to get this knight over here. But actually this move is a mistake because this bishop belongs on this diagonal. So the bishop becomes weird here. In this position, instead, I should have gone either queen c2 or f3 to defend this pawn. But I got kind of messed up in my brain because I was trying to recreate the game I played in my tournament in Sweden. And in that tournament, I think at some point my bishop was on g2, but I couldn't fully remember the move order. So I kind of got it messed up in my brain. So I went here, and this was my first inaccuracy this game. She went a5, which is a very standard idea to prevent b4. And then I went knight e2, just simply developing my knight. And now she did this move c6, which is a really good move. The idea of this is simply that she wants to capture here, and then after I capture back with this pawn, this diagonal is just going to become amazing. And actually, I didn't really understand all of this. So I went knight g3, which is where the knight belongs. I'm also here now stopping h5, which a lot of times black wants to go h5 just to open up, just to kind of stop my sort of attack here, because my threat is to go g5, h4, h5 at some point. And now she captured. And when she captured, I remember looking at a million King's Indian games, and every time pretty much white captures with this pawn. But the thing is that in this position, because my bishop is over here, I actually should capture with this pawn, which kind of goes against the idea of, capturing towards the center. But you know what they say, you don't always follow rules in chess. And there's this rule that typically states that you should always capture towards the center. And to me, it also made sense because f5 is typically the idea. With my pawn on e4, I'm kind of preventing f5. But, you know, you should just sometimes break rules. And here, actually capturing with the e-pawn is better because I'm not opening up this diagonal, and I'm also opening up this e4 square for one of my minor pieces. So e takes d5 would have been much better. So this, and now she went for this fantastic move, a4. And she was just playing great. Like, she was playing really well. And this move is really good because it's preventing me from pushing any of my queenside pawns. And I mean, yeah, this move is just really good. And she's also threatening now to go b5 and just start pushing on the queen side. So in this position, I had the option of taking here, taking and then taking. But after something like bishop d7, even though I am a pawn up, she is going to have a lot of compensation. And she even told me after the game, she was like, I didn't know if you could take the pawn, but I was happy with my compensation. So she was very fearless. Like, this is a fearless girl. She was very fearless. And so here instead, I went for the move g5 to threaten this knight. And this actually was also inaccuracy. Apparently here, I should just go queen d2 or just castle and just play a much more solid game and just say, hey, yes, my pawns have pushed quite a lot in front of the king, but this is actually going to be a solid game because, like I said, this can also be a positional idea. So here going short castles would have been objectively the best choice. But instead I went for this crazy move g5 because I had the idea of going h4 and just throw all my pawns at her king. Kind of like I tried to do against Eric Rosen the other day. So I went h4, and I thought that this was a good position, but then she did this move b5 after thinking for a while. She's giving me the pawn, but I cannot capture because she just goes bishop a6, and just look at what a terrible position I get. My knight is pretty much trapped, and if I move, I mean, there's this check, and my king just becomes absolutely disastrous. So I just knew that I couldn't capture the pawn. And so I thought, okay, you know, if she's attacking me on this side of the board, I got to attack her on the other. So I went here h5 and just fully went on with my plan. But then she went b4. And now in this position, you may say, okay, there's only one choice, which is to go knight e2. But in this position, I thought this was a key position. And I actually spent like 26 minutes on this move, which was kind of stupid. And I know, like, a lot of you, I read a lot of the comments, and a lot of you are always like, oh, Anna, you should just play faster. And trust me, I wish I would. I'm not deliberately choosing to play so slow. But it's really like, I think it's like, I think it's just an issue. It's really something that you need to train, and it's actually much harder than, I guess, like what it sounds like to play faster in chess. So yeah, and I think it also has a lot to do. I know my mom, she's the same as me. I think it has a lot to do with, like, I'm always scared of making a mistake. So I'm always trying to make a good move. And so I always need to reassure myself that my moves are not blunders or not mistakes, because I'm really, like, scared of making mistakes. And I think that's, like, one of the issues for me, that I should just, like, be not scared. And if I blunder a piece, I blunder a piece, you know, and I should just move on with my life. Like, I should just be, like, more fearless when it comes to doing moves. But I think that's something that really you need to train on, and that's also why, like, a lot of people, they actually have, like, a coach that will not just help them with the chess, but they will help them psychologically with playing faster, which I think it's really interesting. So it's actually not so easy to play fast in classical chess, at least not for me. But yeah, I do have some issues with playing fast, and in this position I spent so long calculating because I was calculating sacrificing this piece on c3. Now, it may seem obvious that after capturing here, this move is not good, but I was really scared of blundering a piece. So I ended up capturing on g6, which is a mistake because she, like, 2 minutes later just captured like this, and I realized, okay, why did I open up this rook file? But I was so invested in, like, sacrificing my piece. So I captured, and I was calculating these crazy lines, and I'm really happy actually that I found these lines, but I found that after taking on g6, she could capture my knight, and I had this beautiful move, queen h5, which is the only move that is really good. And I thought this was beautiful, and then I was calculating that she probably needs to capture like this, and I have this beautiful move, queen takes h7 check, and after king f7, I have rook h6 winning the game. And I was really proud of myself for finding all of this, especially this move, queen h5, which seems not so obvious. It seems more obvious to just capture one of the pawns. So rook h6, and now there's no way for her to defend this pawn, and she cannot capture the rook because of the pin. So this is just completely winning now for white. And I thought this was quite pretty. So I spent all this time calculating all these lines, not realizing that she was just going to go f takes g6, and immediately just, you know, to make me look stupid because I spent so long on this move. So here, after this, I went knight e2, and this is what I should have done immediately instead of capturing in between. Bishop a6, and now knight c1, stopping her from bringing a knight to d3. Now here in this position, she spent maybe like 15 minutes or something thinking, and then she played a brilliant move. In fact, it was a move that I saw, but I was like, there's no way. There's no way that she plays it, because I wasn't so sure, and I was like, there's no way this is actually good. But like my gut feeling was telling me, what happens if she does it? Like, what do I do? And I was a little bit scared. And then she did it, and it was a beautiful move, an absolutely beautiful move, which is rook f4, and this is a brilliant move. Yeah, chess.com gives this a brilliant move. And the idea of rook f4, this is the best move in the position, is that she's blocking my bishop from defending on g5. She's blocking it. So she's right now threatening to capture this pawn, and if I would capture here, then she has pawn takes, and after my knight is going to be hanging, and this pawn is going to be hanging. So let's say I go somewhere over here, she has bishop takes b2, and if I would go rook b1, she has this move, just simply queen takes g5, and this is just completely winning. So I couldn't capture on f4, and my mom said that this is like really thematic in the King's Indian to place the rook on f4, because this bishop, my dark squared bishop, is just so good. So when she played it, I was so shocked, and I realized immediately, like, she's playing so well. So she went rook f4, which is beautiful, and here I went bishop f1. Maybe I should have gone bishop h3, try to get some counterplay, but I was starting to get low on time, and I was really scared into getting like into a complicated position because it was really hard to evaluate the position, I thought. It was really hard. It was such a weird position. So I went bishop f1 with the simple idea of getting my king out and, you know, not being limited on the light squares. I just wanted to be able to get my knight out, just like free my pieces, you know? And now she went queen takes g5, and now I'm a pawn down. Like now I'm straight up a pawn down. I can still not capture on f4, so I decided to move my knight to e2 to threaten capturing on f4. She started getting low on time here. Her clock was ticking. She had like 2 minutes left at this point, and she took on e4. And now things started. This became a bullet game now. So I decided to get my knight up to d3, which is good. And here, she could simply go rook f8, and this is now completely winning for her. This is like -5, which means that she's basically evaluation-wise as good as if she was a rook up. But instead, she did an insane move. Like when she did this move, I was like, what? My mother did not see it. I feel like nobody in the spectator scene saw it. She did an insane chess move. She sacrificed the rook. Rook takes f2. Like, I honestly, and the engine thinks this is like maybe the second or third best move. Like, I was shocked when she played it. I couldn't believe my eyes. And what is the idea of this? Well, the idea is that she's eliminating, she's giving me a full rook, but she is eliminating one of the king's defenders. So here, I cannot capture with the knight because then she's going to be simply taking my bishop. I have to capture with the bishop. And now going rook f8 would simply win the game for her. There's just really, my pieces are so bad. My king is extremely weak. My pieces are also bad. Even if I'm a full rook up, there's not much I can do. If I would try to exchange queens, just gonna bring her queen in. And this is actually an absolutely terrible chess position. It's actually insane. She's threatening to go knight g3 check. So, but the thing was that after she captured on f2, when I took, she was down to maybe 30 seconds on the clock. So she got really stressed. And here, she went for knight d2 check. And I thought at first it was just to gain time that she went for these repetition moves. But she ended up here offering me a draw And I was just in shock because I thought I was going to lose the game. So I was extremely happy to get a draw here. She offered me a draw. She went for the repetition. In chess, if you have the same position 3 times, it becomes a draw. It's called 3-move repetition. And that's what happened here. She was repeating moves. She was going for this check back and forth. And obviously, I have nothing to do to get out of it. But I was really happy with the draw. And she said that she did it because she was so low on time and she wasn't really sure how to continue the game. Now, I do have to say that even though the engine is saying that this is super winning for black, I feel like from a human perspective, if you do not know, it's not so easy to evaluate this position. Like, I was scared, but it's not so easy understanding that this is completely winning for black, even though she's a rook down. And she told me, she was like, I knew that if I would not have sacrificed the rook, probably I was winning. But the moment I made the decision of sacrificing the rook, I thought I had to go for the draw. So, you know, no matter what the engine says, it was not so clear. But I kind of felt bad for her because she had played so well. In fact, it's absolutely insane. According to the chess.com engine, she played at 98.9% accuracy, which is insane, especially in a tactical game. I did the same thing the day before, but it was a positional game where it's kind of easier to do it. But the fact that she played at pretty much 99% accuracy, sacrificing a rook twice, to me is insane. She played so well, and I'm really happy for her. I think she's going to gain like a lot of rating. I think she's going to improve a lot. So I'm really, really, really happy for her. It's great. And yeah, we will see, you know, what her future holds in chess. But, you know, if you're watching this, you played great. I was so scared. So yeah, GG's. This honestly to me felt like a win more than a draw or anything. Like, I felt really good. So in 1.5 hours, no, I'm kidding. In 2.5 hours, I'm playing round number 8. I'm playing against the German 1800 rated chess player who was born 1966. So he's not an underrated kid. He used to be higher rating. He's gone down a little bit in rating. I have the black pieces. I will have to try to play my best chess. I am right now on 3.5 out of 7 points. And, well, I'm just going to try to win the last 2 games if it's possible. I'm going to give it my very best. I will see you all for my recap of round number 8. Thank you guys so much for watching the video.